Brimstone, though, kicking off Pearl.
No, and I didn't expect to see the Haven pick coming out from FUT either. I definitely have to now agree with the desk and lean this series in towards T1's favor. But as we've learned in EMEA many a time, FUT are very good at sort of breaking those norms. In the early stages of the round, though, we're going to have to build up in towards that A site. Leading that charge, Carpe with the Tiger, and Sire's already in.
He's done well to find the first, but he's stuck inside those mollies and can't make his way out. A Nano Swarm kill onto Saya, and a blindsided swing. Captain only gets one for his trouble, but the numbers, they stay in their favor as FUT control the site. The spike on the floor as well, and Munchkin has no idea on that final player. He spotted him now, but not able to adjust in time. The first round is for FUT.
Close off the back of it, though. I did feel like Munchkin was going to have an opportunity to maybe clutch that one out. Now, I want to mention a little bit why that sort of Haven pick was a little bit of a off-the-board one for me. If you look at the last few times we've seen it actually chosen by the side of FUT, they've been smashed out of it. So I'm hoping they're going to have some adjustments on that pick. But looking at Pearl already, it does seem like they've gone from differences with their comp. Now, obviously, bringing in that Brimstone is going to be one of those things to sort of delay potentially when it comes up to that B side. But I want to see how that might affect them with their more burst attacks when it comes to their attack, because that's the thing. A lot of the time we talk about Brimstone comps is you don't have those regenerating smokes anymore. So when you go for a hit, you have to be pretty damn committed to it.
Yeah, it can definitely be problematic later on into the game. For now, the lean from Captains towards that A site. We've seen a lot of presence here from FUT in the pistol round. They had early rotations to this side of the map. And they're hoping that T1 will end up back towards A. Maybe a bit of a read into the tendencies, into the preferences of their opponent that so far seems to be paying dividends. With T1, sure, they're poking and prodding across the map, trying to find some presence. But they intend to finish things off on A. And already we've seen Munchkin dropped, trying to get a bit of info around that corner. They don't know how many players are up close waiting.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're going to have to try and sort of focus on throughout the map is where Krax is placing that knife, where he's finding that information, because a lot of the time you're going to lose control of certain spots, of course, especially with that Killjoy. You can kind of lock down angles, as you can see on the map at the moment, with that mid-control still being held onto, but they have given up a little bit of space. As you can see, though, from Moj,
30 seconds
is
left.
definitely aware of it, and for T1 now, they're starting to run out of time.
We've spoken many times about the discipline of FUT in the regular season over in EMEA, and we're seeing it here very much under control as they don't overextend and offer anything. 15 seconds on the clock as the push comes through. Snakebite's good, but they can't follow up on the damage. And now a chance for that spike to actually be planted for these players who've waited out for the past 2 minutes to finally force some fights, and they're favorable to begin. A post-plant setup as well with Viper utility to play off of. FUT will find this difficult and starts by rooting out Saya player who's finding two. They're unable to do anything about this man, and now support comes in. The trade maybe not on time, but with 45 HP and 2 players left to take down, Krax is in a lot of trouble. He's trying to fight them, and he'll get both of those duels on an offer. On his plate, eaten up and 2-0, but hey, listen, that follow-up second round, not as clean as FUT would have liked.
No, not even close. If anything, T1 probably should have taken it. Like being left in what was a 1v3 scenario, Krax is able to pull one out of the bag, and again, that's one of the things we always talk about with FUT, is they have depth in these clutch players, but I still feel like it wouldn't be right to not highlight Saya player. Like, he is always going to be an issue for teams. It's somehow being in the late round, even when he's playing those openers a lot of the time. And now with the rifles in, just look at the purchase from FUT. It's just going to be the Bulldogs and a couple of players. And the rest can't really afford to buy much more down because of how much they lost in the last round.
Yeah, this squad really not able to fight anywhere near the level that it looked like they would be beginning this. I love the utility from T1. A much quicker take towards B this time, strangling all of the space out of their opponent's control. And they're going to flash through to make the big play. And even then, it's not catching anyone. They've been fully pushed back by the util and a plant acquired.
Needing the heals for a little bit of help, and actually it's going to be Krax to get rid of Ban. Spike not quite being planted. And Zed's aggressive position, he's got to be careful. There are multiple players just around this corner. The flash connects, but he's not going to aggress off it just yet, and Mr. Farland is already going to put this into a further advantage. They need a bit of a hero, and the trades are fantastic. Leaving Saya player once again alone, and he's going to get cleared out. FUT are going to make that work with 2 Bulldogs and 3 pistols, Mitch.
Well, that's kind of ridiculous. You know, the initial kill coming through from Cracks, fair enough. He's just firing through the smokes. He knows there's a spot they're likely to have some foot traffic around, and he can take them down. But the fact that they come through with next to nothing backing it up, it was what, 2 Bulldogs? And then you're down to
3 Sheriffs, that was it.
And they're able to come out winning every single duel, and in some instances, maybe it's overextension from T1, having Zeta up close and going out for the swing, but even still, that's ground that I think he's entitled to fight for. A ridiculous beginning to this, and T1, they're going to start sweating pretty soon. They can't allow FUT to just run away with this after a promising beginning.
Yeah.
They haven't got anything to work with in this round. It's going to be the same as before with B, just denying the info, taking the space.
So that's something I really wanted to look into with this team, is sort of why they struggled versus their opponents. And a lot of it came down to the opening duels versus the duelists on the other side. Kang and Artis having a field day versus T1. Kiwi, well, he's going to kick things off once again. Sire player, though, he's there. And Ban's found one with a pistol. Every single round becoming competitive so far. Is this one going to settle on their side? And they almost managed to get rid of Mr. Fallen.
Yeah, that was the recovered rifle, and look at Saya. They got this orb to start the round out. Got the Blade Storm online, and that has been rewarded tenfold. Just Mr. Fallen, 56 HP. And although he finds the first, he is left on one.
He lost 55.
That's a tough situation. Headshot needed onto Ban at least. They've got the angles here, a bit more damage, but that's all that will be found. As finally, T1 are on the board. Not in the round I expected it either.
They didn't think we would give up.
No, again, there's a reason it's very easy to highlight Sire player. The Blade Storm just taking over this one, and again, even with the changes to this map, we're seeing them very heavily lean in towards this B side. I feel like that's where the true strength of this Harbor Viper is. We'll see if they're going to have some adaptations to throw things into A, but if you look at where they're initially setting up once again, well, it looks like Moj might be about to come under the same pressure again this round.
Well, by the looks of it, yeah. And they're not changing it up as the barriers go up. Same approach, the same old wall on its way. Jet following up on it. Saya looks to claim some more scalps. Look at FUT's response, falling back and indeed conceding the entirety of this site. Players in the spawn, and that's about as close as they're going to be. The same attempt at spamming through, and it's done some good damage. Yeah, Ban is down pretty low, but they can be healed. And safe to plant inside of that cove. Viper's pit down for the post plant.
He's going to stay in it, I think.
Yeah.
Lockdown being utilized, but he doesn't want to give up that pit. KO ult's gone through on the other side as well, so it will be the detain for Zeta. But he's able to hold on for the moment. Even still, though, initial frag goes the way of Kiwis, doing one, but Carpe just gets 2 through the pit. A little bit more for him as well. One more standing, a potential ace. But he's just playing passive this time, not looking to get over-aggressive. You know he wants that final kill. We'll hear the tap onto the spike, but it's not quite there. And Moj is going to try and close it, but instead, it's Sire player. A huge round for Carpe, a highlight on the desk. And well, you've just witnessed the reason why.
Well, I think this is where FUT are going to start to get worried. That B site's being pressured again and again down B long. They're pushed out of B long. They're pushed out of B site. And on the way back through, the fights have not been pretty. And you got to give credit to Carpe, though. The fact that he's able to find that space, even checking on the spike, seeing that it's not being diffused, this round was entirely his. But on the back of Zeta turning around and obviously tanking the lockdown, keeping the pit online and giving them that angle to fight from. They couldn't even punish him once he fell back into the corner. It's a really nice response from T1. And this time, a big difference from how this attacking side is approaching the early round. And in the same way, a big difference in FUT's approach. 4 players on B early. That has left them very light elsewhere on the map. And unfortunately, well, elsewhere is where T1 are bringing it.
Unless they're about to use an orbital strike to deny this, there's not really much they can put in the way. Now, to put things into perspective, FUT in the past, even before the changes, got the majority of their rounds on that defensive side. So the fact that this is already looking pretty good for T1, the map changes allow you to get more defender side rounds in general, with that side being easier to lock out with an afterplant already. It's a question of how much FUT actually want to throw into this one. Now, they do have a bit of reserve cash, and for the other side of things. It depends how many orbs you want to sort of hand over to T1, but that's a damn good start. Carpe gone.
Yeah, he tried to sneak past the smoke. A second player coming from this angle later. It's Munchkin, but he's going to be caught. Oh, but the shot doesn't hit. Mr. Fallen. Well, they've definitely stumbled on that play with Munchkin defending this tooth and nail. The lockdown will be destroyed. Just about, but look at the time that it's bought. That spike already diffused, ticking away quite far. It's half. They're going for it. They're trying to stick it all the way, but the spray from Ban saves the day.
Well, I was saying in the moment, is there going to be that use of the Orbiter Strike? And I'll be honest, I said it in jest. I didn't think there was any way they were going to throw that ult into the late stages of the round, but with the heroics of Mr. Fallen being able to do so much initially, and then the aggression to actually get rid of that lockdown, there was a real chance. Luckily, Ban was on the case once again. Definitely someone within this T1 roster that I feel like has been given an unfair amount of flack. His Jet's pretty good as well. Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting Fractured today. But for now, at least, we end up level. This is where the purchase comes back in, though, and that's where the Kiwi operator becomes a threat. That B site a little bit easier to hold down, but once again, we're now seeing T1 lean back in towards that A site. Real opportunities for a solid execute with all of the utility that they have, and Ban's util almost renowned for getting you into an afterplan.
Oh, much more shallow this time on the wall through, trying to link up with the ARC players and then push on the back of it. Saya player will only get the one, and Carpe actually caught on the way through the molly, slowing them down on this and putting T1 in a pretty tough position. You still have a Viper's Pit to fight back in on the side of FUT. They need to take some space of their own, and that's exactly what they're looking for. Out of Captain in the corner, and although he's moving fast, he's not quick enough on his feet, but look at the HP of Ban. So incredibly low with Mods just trying to find him. And he'll locate that final kill, even save the op through to the next round.
Yeah, it wasn't bad from T1 considering how the initial fights went. Like, you obviously had the Reckoning thrown in, and there was one position that wasn't clear, but Ban was very much aware of it. But again, it just comes down to a couple of shots landed by Kiwi on the way back through, and solid utility actually coming out from FUT to sort of deny that initial space. They know that the composition from T1 revolves around afterplan. So you're going to use that Cove, you're going to use the High Tide to get you into position, and then just play those post plants with, snake bites, and everything that comes with the Killjoy kit. But if you don't allow them to get into that spot, which is something that FUT normally pretty good at, it can become a little bit easier for them. And now again, like, this is how close these rounds have been. 3 rounds in a row for T1, they lose 1, and financially in the bin. But I see Sire on a hero rifle, Mitch, and you know, there's always hope.
Well, that's kind of what you're talking about. Immediately starting the round off with aggression, and T1 have not been afraid to have those quicker starts to the round and pump the brakes later on. Now, a rifle potentially to be retrieved for this squad if they were to double up and move through this area, but actually, they're going all the way back to their spawn, moving around to B long, and sending Saya player walking, well, by the looks of it, on a flank of his own.
He's going forward.
He'll be seen. They'll check in on him a little bit later on. Kiwi, for now, has to move his way out of this B site. Concede control. That's been the name of the game for these B takes, but this time, Kiwi has something to say about it.
Yeah, he's left a teammate behind as well. I don't think Cracks was expected. The flank from Sire will dome 1, but the trades are coming back thick and fast. Cracks has done an incredible job at the back of the site, and well, it comes down to Sire. He needs an ace to win this round. Doesn't actually know where his opponent is lurking. Cracks hiding on the backlines, has spotted the other 2, but I think his life is on borrowed time. No, it seems like he read it for a second, but Cracks has done the damage either way. A 4K for him, a little bit of a bait and switch in this round, and FUT are going to have their 5th on the defensive side. Now starting to build into it, as we sort of said.
You can see how scary this T1 squad is, though. I mean, if you imagine that was a full buy like we're seeing right here, not just the hero rifle for Saya, this guy managed to push straight up into door, grab an opening kill, and then had the flank as well.
The jet lurk.
It's literally just those players going on site don't have rifles. Cracks has a better chance in most of the fights that he enters and is able to connect them. But one hiccup there, one stumble, the site falls, rifles are retrieved, your flank is still an issue late into the round, and FUT may have just stumbled on what was a very low buy. I think T1 can feel pretty confident with how they've been playing so far. This round here, though, another test. And that operator on Kiwi It's caused a lot of trouble in the past. Pushing up on B, it won't be getting too much offered up just yet.
This as well is, again, we're starting to see that play throughout. This is where, once more, we've seen Mr. Farland put the majority of utility to try and hold on to some of that control. And it seems like, on the other side of things, the only goal, really, of Zeta is to play into that late lurk. The thing is, though, they're so confident in Kiwi's position. Almost caught floating through the air. And that's a big kill. Now things get a little bit panicky as the rest go pushing in towards that site. But Moj, as you said, has caught the spike.
Yeah, they went elsewhere. You know, that was just a flank on B. The lurk late into the round. Ban's up close, and they haven't spotted him. Good repositioning. Spike retrieved, and as we said, you had that flanker, that lurker later into the round. Still, they're controlling the B site. Zeta's got it on lockdown. They can move that spike around. They're doing so a little bit slowly. It is allowing FUT to rotate into position, maybe be close by. And it's not like Zeta has anything to catch them off guard here. He's very much just holding this map control so they can get the plant in late round. It's a good pivot, a good recovery. Munchkin, he was so patient, but he's been spotted on the way back out.
I'm looking at that null command as well. Now they've spotted that flanker. Can potentially remove the util. The rest of the players, they know there's one in towards that backside, which likely means there's either one out towards long or back in on that lurk.
That's a great kill. They're starting to narrow down the angles, but they didn't know that Munchkin was still there. The ammo, the real issue here for Zeta. As Ada captain, definitely a smile on his face now as they are pushing that lead even further up.
Yeah, that literally just came down to a few bullets. Munchkin did an incredible job to find a couple of kills, but again, FUT are the ones on top, 6-3. And I'm not really surprised to see T1 pull in a tactical timeout, especially when you look at what they have on the board. 4 ultimates available, the Viper's Pit very close to being online as well. Even though this might be a weaker purchase for them in terms of their finances, this is one they can easily get things over the line.
Yeah, it's a good time to grab a breather. As we said, some of that early round aggression has been incredibly promising. So for this T1 squad, putting together the final pieces of the puzzle with 3 rounds left to compete for in the half, and it's certainly not out of their hands just yet. And as you said, Tom, FUT known for putting up those rounds on the defensive side. So this first half really is just about getting enough rounds on the board that it's workable when they swap over, when that defensive side is mounted.
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible for them to turn the tide. I think for FUT, obviously, I think this composition kind of allows them to have a solid util for the retakes and a lot of delay potential, which can be quite hard to play up against. I am going to be intrigued to see how it works on the attack, because I feel like in classic FUT style, they're going to have to be very direct, because the brim doesn't really allow for much else. But there's still a few rounds to go in this half, and for T1, the thing that excites me most, I'm seeing a Blade Storm on Sire player, which we've already witnessed once, is enough to win a round.
Yeah, and money problems, right? So you know for sure it's unlikely he's going to come through here with a full investment of anything crazy. Instead, it's going to be that Blade Storm look to try and recover on it. And that was one of the ways they got around on the board. Just his straight up aggression down B long, being able to completely mince up that defense. They'll look to do it again. Success found earlier around double doors, looking for more. But Kiwi's here this time, locking it down, operator in hand. They're wise enough to send out a Tiger first. It will meet that op shot.
That's almost a direct reaction to what he did last time. Like they've seen him just burst his way through mid, so they've decided, okay, let's just put our most fearsome warrior there to hold on to those positions. Again, we're seeing this sneak up, this almost lurk through as they attempt to pincer in, and they've now spotted Sire in mid.
Yeah, at least 2 players coming from mid, and well, there were 2 coming from B long, but they've spotted them and taken them down. Maj up close is defending. And there's, wow, even players being dropped through the smoke. This couldn't have went much worse for T1. All of their info was found in the early round. FUT knew exactly what was happening, and their response was perfect, seeing the majority of the forces coming through double doors, so they look for the fight on B long, and then they can pivot with ease.
So he's got to get past an alarm bot, a nanoswarm, a turret, and a second nanoswarm. And that's just to get to the site. Information to be had already, insta rotation back.
30 seconds left.
There's not really anywhere for him to go at this point. The main thing will just be, can he cause any extra damage? Can he maybe get a plant for the extra finances? It's really not a good scenario. And in terms of the money on the other side, a flawless round would be perfect for the side of FUT, but we'll see if they're going to get it. 10 seconds left. He has to just run in at this stage and hope that he can get absolutely anything, and it will be the Prime Gaming Flawless coming through for FUT.
Yeah, of course he knew Captain was there after the molly, so that's going to be the spot he's looking at. 7 rounds for FUT so far. It's been a very strong beginning to this map. Thing is, you know, sure, it's T1's map pick, but if they can at least push up to 5 by the end of this half, they've got the legs on them to stand tall as the series progresses, as the map progresses into half 2. Ultis are looking pretty good for the FUT side, though. Blade Storm locked down. The Viper's Pit to work with, as well as Orbital Strike. I mean, they've got a bunch to fight for, and this is T1's buy round. Don't want to leave anything on the table.
I like this, though. T1 just going back to what was working. Faster pace hits, sending in Sire player as that initial fight, the Reckoning online. They've been farming up orbs throughout the game to get this all online just because of the space it builds up. They do have to be careful, though, because FUT have been very happy to just sit on the edge, spam through, and do so much damage, and it's worked out for them again. Carpe is going to be caught.
And the lockdown's traded out as well. That might force some of these players to take a step forward in some circumstances.
As well.
But they've decided to fall on back, concede that control.
I call this around the Observer's Nightmare.
Yeah.
It's just every single ult just being spammed into position.
Viper's Pit went down, but so did Mr. Fallen. They've got to get on this spike pretty soon to force players out into the open, and there they are. They've spotted the whole squad, but there's too many bodies to take down. T1 holding strong. They've still got that utility to play behind, but Maj has got the angle up top. The smokes holding off for just a few seconds longer.
No.
It could be long enough. Kiwi's close, and he'll get it across the line. Oh, a devastating round for T1. As the defuse right under their nose puts 8 rounds on the board for the side of FUT. Their defense looking undeniably strong.
I don't even know how many ults we saw in that round. I think it was all of them. Like, every single ult is now gone. Everybody invested absolutely everything. We saw Reckoning, Viper's Pit, lockdowns traded out. Both teams wanted this round more than absolutely anything, and FUT, they literally get it over the line off a defuse within a smoke. A Brimmy smoke at that, so I mean, you know, they lost a while, but 8-3. I think many expected T1, especially on their map choice, to come out swinging, and they are getting decimated. What a shot by Kiwi to start. These rounds may have been close, but the scoreline definitely isn't.
He's been a menace with that operator early round, but hasn't needed to do a whole lot. It's players like Maj, like Captain, pulling it out later on. Krax, who's been an animal for spraying people down through smokes, well, he's finally gotten a little bit of karma coming his way. Flash ready. Carpe wants to punish. They know there's a player there, and they'll catch him through the wall. Great prediction from Carpe. The Kiwi not able to hit the shot with the op. Too many targets. All out in the open. He's got cover this time. A player up close, ready to help, and well, his help will certainly be needed. Mr. Fallen, is he going to swing out to realize these players have given up the control? Yes, they've moved towards the stairs where the spike is dropped. Maj has the cross, spotted both on the way around, and now they can just hold this together, or maybe not. They separated. Munchkin isolates. 40 HP and 4 bullets. The spike down towards the stairs. He has to move. And in fact, it's his opponent that's moving first. Maj repositioning, maybe knowing that the spike is there, that he can catch a timing.
It's just all about the bait. Maybe expecting to be surrounded. Now Munchkin's going to be the one to go that little bit further forward, hoping to find his opponent, but eventually he has to make his move, has to go for this plant, and he's not going to be expecting him to be in that same position, desperately trying to find out where Maj is coming from, but instead he's just wrapped back into exactly the same spot, and he will land the shot. The only thing stopping FUT from dominating in this map is the curse. And well, to be honest, Mitch, it depends how much you believe in it.
That is a masterclass from Maj as well, closing out that in positioning in the 1v1. Beautifully played, and now 9-3 at the half for the side of FUT. This couldn't have went much better. I mean, hell, even some of the rounds that T1 getting off the back of individual prowess, someone like Saya on the Blade Storm tearing it up. Kiwi, Saya head-to-head, not as impressive as you thought. Wow, see what the desk makes of this lead.
Thank you so much for that, fellas. And wow, FUT defying all expectations with a hot start on Pearl. But let's jump straight, though, to our Verizon high-speed moment, because you got to give it to Ada Captain. This guy has been absolutely amazing this game. And Baby Bay, I think that, you know, we were talking about it before being that emotional leader. We're also seeing him frag.
I mean, yeah, imagine just peeking and one-tapping somebody. But it's not even just that. It's like, obviously getting a 3K as the emotional leader is great and all, but the utility to isolate the guy from backhaul and to be able to take this fight in general and just get the trade right here after. It's beautiful. Then he wins the 1v1, right? And who better than having it be your you know, spiritual leader in the game? Look at him, he's hyped. He's already hyped, going crazy on him. So
massive to have that guy online, getting the energy up for this team. But baby, we were both talking about how good T1's mid-rounding was in the pre-match here. But for T1, so much of this map was just these hard executes. It was super passive from FUT, always playing into these flood retakes. And I think it just worked so well with this Brim comp. It almost plays really similarly to the Icebox Brim comps that we used to see last year. And I think the player in particular that is finding strength in a lot of those situations has been Cracks. We had questions of how this KO would play against mid-rounding, but they never really had to do that. Instead, it felt like T1 was letting FUT play into the strengths of this comp, which was these flood retakes with the Brim smokes going up and the KO flashes to get out.
Yeah, T1 didn't try to bait really much of any utility in that half, and it's like you have the Sky, you have the Harbor to take all these things like slowly and try to bait out those Brim smokes, because he only has 3, right? And even the KO flashes, he only has 2 flashes and 1 knife, right? So it's like, I don't know why or what, but maybe they thought they had a hard read and, you know, they got countered a bit.
And now they have this massive advantage at the half. 9-3, they converted the bonus to begin. They've looked good on pistol rounds in the half. T1 is going to have to do something huge to rally here on the defensive side, but New Pearl is quite defense-sided.
Yeah, well, let's see if 9-3 is enough and send it back to the casters.
9 rounds so far, starting this out, as we've heard. FUT in prime position to close this out. T1's map pick, though, and now they're on the defense, a side where I think they'll be a little bit more comfortable. Saya's been looking good all the way through. There's certainly some signs of hope. The fact that so many of these rounds have come close as well. They're not down and out just yet, but they're certainly down for now.
I like that.
Starting out this pistol.
It's an insta KO nade just to try and clear that corner as they peek into mid, hoping to try and force someone out into the fight and almost bait their opponents into believing that that's the direction they've gone. In fact, instantly Carpe's going to have to use the Skydog, the Tiger, to clear out some position. The fact is, though, T1 have a great read here.
Yeah, Saya player's flank should be perfect, but it's going to take a while to come through. The players on site will have some trouble holding it down. One wall goes through. This is going to section them all around the backside. Low HP, though, on Munchkin. He doesn't really want to fight, but it'll be forced on him anyways. Good opening for Kiwi. Just look at Saya player. He snuck past the turret. He put his cloudburst up, and now they have no idea that he is sneaking his way through. That's an awkward fight. It's bought time, given an opportunity. Perhaps Kiwi can win that fight now if he wasn't crunched on, if there wasn't support here to play with. We're back down to a 2v3. Low HP on a lot of FUT players. The spike has to be defused, and time is on their side. They can swing out one at a time, or they can go all together. Double digits found for FUT.
Yeah, that might just be the nail in the coffin for map number 1. For so far ahead, and even this round where there was multiple players within the site, it just seems like they did a better job of being able to trade out those kills. Maj as well, just having an absolutely star-studded performance. I believe normally playing the Killjoy more so on this map, but his Vipers look damn good. Well, maybe just more so on the individual side of things rather than purely off the util. 10-3 up. Not going to be much of an investment at all. A Marshall thrown in, a chance for Saya to maybe do a little bit of damage. On the other side, it is just going to be this almost trap setup into B.
Now we'll see if the reward is there. A kill, just one to be found to start this off. The Marshall already going to be eliminated. That is very little fight in the side of T1 for this round. At least Munchkin's able to grab another kill, make it more costly. But with 30 HP, his chances of doing that again are pretty low. And for the side of FUT, inching ever closer to victory on their opponent's map pick, you do have to wonder for Munchkin, maybe that Bulldog, it could even be worth bringing it through to the next round, but being so far behind, maybe they'll put stock in the 1v3.
Yeah, at this point, he's going to be able to buy a Vandal Phantom in the next round anyway, so might as well just throw this one in for some extra damage. Maybe try and get an orb, but Kiwi is ready and waiting. 11-3. FUT taking this one further and further away from their opponents. And if there was going to be any fight back, Mitch, it kind of has to be now. And you know what? Good time for a pause.
Yeah, this is going to be another T1 timeout that's running dry on that side. Means they've got to make the comeback happen from this point forward pretty flawlessly without help from the coaching staff, unless FUT decide to have a word. It's going to be tough looking at this situation because it is definitely a series where 11-3 does not feel like a fair scoreline, not representing the level of fight that T1 brought to the table, but they just weren't able to close out those rounds, and that's what's going to leave you here.
It's an interesting one because by all expectations, this is going to be a rematch of the decider. Like, everybody sat there going, okay, EG are going to take this group, FPX are going to finish last in this group, and the other two teams are going to fight twice. Like, that's the way this kind of sits right now. So for FUT to be dominating this far ahead, it definitely makes things a little bit more interesting, seeing if they'll maybe come up against EG a little bit later on. But I think for both of these teams, coming into this tournament, a real opportunity to make it top 8 at Champions, I think that's something that they need to grasp with both hands. And for T1, wow, this being their map choice, this being somewhere they felt would be a home turf versus FUT, and being smashed in the way that they are, there needs to be a bit of a response here. And with the rifles on board, this is where you hope they'll step up.
Yeah, and as well, you know, recent memory for T1 on the international stage, certainly not great, although you can say that for a lot of these teams coming in, but a squad that beat EDG and then was eliminated by them shortly after.
Yeah.
Demolished, exactly. And so they're looking for their own little story this time around. The A site is under threat. FUT already having dashed in, taken space. There's some weaknesses here. 2 pistols in play.
Do they vibe this pit?
The rifles taking the fight, and Munchkin who's winning them. A quick double, and this could be the best chance for T1 so far. The only downside is that Viper's Pit.
Yeah, they've actually used it. Even in this scenario where they're down a couple of men, well, make that just one. Moj just managed to find another. The Snakebite will buy some extra time, but he is not sitting still. He's gone moving all the way around. A decent position held, though, by Carpe. Just waiting on the other side, trying to find an entry back in, but Moj has found him as well. Having a lights-out game so far. Finally, Munchkin will respond, and now it's left all onto Mr. Farlin. Only a pistol in hand, but some low HP players, not this time, though. The time ticking relatively low, but they will be able to get themselves their 4th.
They will indeed. Another round on the board for T1, and at long last, this could be the start of their way back in. But, you know, the weaponry wasn't the best on the side of FUT. Sure, they use a Viper's Pit, but this time they'll come in with full rifles, and the real test is about to be there for T1 as well. This opening from Munchkin, you can't rely on that happening every single time, but it looked good.
I think the other thing as well is just you're seeing the sheer confidence that FUT have on the stage. Like, they have always been a team that once the momentum is rolling, they could beat anyone. Like literally anyone. They've taken maps off Fnatic over in EMEA when they played them in one of the earlier series. So the fact that they were in a 3v5 throwing in a Viper's Pit kind of proves to you that the confidence is overflowing at this stage. And now you kind of look at the buyback on the other side. Sure, you have that Blade Storm again. Carpe's weaponry a little bit lower. We'll see what FUT had to offer. A little bit of a slower default. A lurk held by Mr. Farlin, just watching for any space being taken by that defensive side. And it has been. Mid is where the pressure is currently being spotted for. And Mozetta is definitely going to see that smoke utilized and have a little bit of extra info for his team.
Killjoy utility pulled back. I thought maybe that'd be the window for Saya player to go on that flank he's been waiting for, but instead shifting back towards the B side. The orb was taken, and so Mr. Fallen had the lockdown to work with. It's on the floor to buy them space on B. Oh, space that will be undeniable as they waltz their way into this site. Choice of where to plant is very much theirs. They still haven't gone for the plant yet. I mean, there's a lot of time for this T1 squad to get back in here, go for spams, especially with such an open plant spot. It's worked out, but you're going to be caught by the flash on the way through. Players spotted moving towards the elbow. That's where T1 wanted to fight for a moment, but Zed and Carp both down. Ban falls too. Blade Storm blinded in the open, and that is only going to leave Munchkin. Had some great rounds already, but not this time. It would be a miracle to pull out that 1v4. 12 on the board for FUT. And they now have 8 chances to close out their opponent's map pick. Haven up next. And, well, look, we got a lot of questions about Haven, actually. But Ascent as a closer, that's a Turkish map if ever I've seen one.
God. Well, the fact that FUT are happy to go back to Haven after losing it 3 times in a row says that what we're going to see in the next map, well, I'm hoping we won't see their Gecko. I'll be honest with you. I'm hoping that's gone. But the fact that this is as dominant as it is, I think, is more surprising to anyone. We've had some crazy games yesterday, incredibly close ones at that, but this has been anything but. 12-4, a build into this B site once again. The weaponry even worse than the last time out. Munchkin sat at the back of the site with a lockdown and a judge. The rest of the team nowhere to be seen. In fact, Sire's gone all the way up mid, but he's going to be no help in this round.
Now Walkabout going to take a while to come through. Player like Munchkin may be able to find value. If someone from FUT overextends, what was that? A collateral? Oh, well, now that judge is certainly looking a little worse for wear towards this elbow. They're going in, though. They've given him the control, and the fight is his. The lockdown online. And he can defend this. Pushing back in's not a good idea. In fact, they won't get anywhere close to it. Kiwi caught in the open. And we're back down to not just the way back through for T1, but the man advantage to work with as well. It won't last too long without a captain. The trade out is good for Mr. Fallen, and he'll close it at that. FUT with 13-4. Their opening map in Los Angeles could not have gone much better. If this is a sign of what's to come, it's going to be a pretty quick series.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I came into this tournament looking at the first couple of days, looking at the matches that we had, and I thought, okay, this is going to be the most competitive of the lot. 2 teams that finished in a similar position in Tokyo, 2 teams that basically looked like they were at a similar level. And, well, FUT have come in and, let's just put it this way, one team was better from head to foot. They absolutely destroyed them in this map. Moj having an incredible map, and someone like Carpe, I believe Carpe got a 4K in one of the rounds. He got a single kill for the rest of the game. This needs to be a big, big turnaround for them going into map number 2.
Oh yeah, a completely different squad needs to walk out on that stage. A 13-4 scoreline, it's not something that any team wants to see. Even if that's your perma-ban, you'd expect a little more coming out of them. And that's a big deal now for this squad of T1. As they go backstage to discuss their opponent's pick of Haven, the final map of Ascent that might be played out. There's going to be a lot of notes given from the coaching staff. And to be honest, you know, some of these rounds were incredibly close, like we said, but
it started that way in some of the earlier. Like, there was a back and forth. It seems like all of the clutches were going FUT's way, other than like maybe a blade storm coming out from Sire. Either way, I think we're going to be throwing this one off to the break. We'll be back to map number 2.
When you play an actual ranked game, it's 50 minutes, but how much are you actually shooting? With Aim Labs, you can compete in over 1,000 tasks that will prepare you for any scenario in any game. So the new ranked season, you play, you get points, you can compare yourself to your friends. With Aim Labs' new one-to-one Valorant maps, you get instant feedback on how to get better crosshair placement, better peak efficiency. You can also instantly modify existing tasks with Discovery. Get started today by downloading Aim Labs for free and join millions of other satisfied players.
Red Bull gives you wings.
What a dream start for FUT. I'm joined by their coach, Gaius, and Scala, who's going to be doing some translations. Now, Gaius, we saw some changes from your team on Pearl. Nothing new, you guys like to change your comp throughout the season, but your opponents, T1, they still have not changed their comp once this entire year. So for you as a coach, in terms of preparation, do you feel like that made it easier and made them a little bit more predictable today?
Guys, yani direkt söyleyebilirsin, tamamdır.
Yani biz EMEA'dayken kompları rakibe göre sadece bir Navi'ye göre değiştirmiştik açıkçası. Ama çok kolay okunabilir mi? Yani aynı kompla başka taktikler de ortaya çıkabiliyor. O yüzden de açıkçası bu soruya tam olarak evet veya hayır diyemem. Ama sadece EMEA zamanında sadece Navi'ye karşı komp değiştirmiştik. Onun haricinde hiçbir takıma biz ekstradan komp değiştirmedik. Ve T1'da ekstradan bir komp değiştirmediği için nasıl duygular içinde olduğunu anlayabiliyorum. Ve her zaman aynı kompla çok daha fazla şey çıkabiliyor ortaya.
We haven't changed our compositions that much throughout the year. We had changed it against Navi during EMEA. And in terms of like answering your question, I cannot give a definitive answer because sometimes you can just employ different tactics using the same comp. So I can say that I can feel exactly, I know exactly how they feel. Sometimes you change stuff, sometimes you don't change stuff, but the outcome is the same. So yeah, like in terms of predictability, I cannot say something specific. But yeah, that is it.
Well, thank you very much, guys. You guys had a great start, and thank you very much, Scala, for translating. Let's see if FUT can close this out.
Always good to hear there from the coach from FUT. And, you know, I think, wait, Mimi, why do you have so many?
Dude, I'm having a good time.
Why are you having a good time?
FUT won. They only got one international win before. The series is over, dude. It's done.
You're calling the series right
you
now.
You want to have some fun, right? Like, it's a party. We should be celebrating. This is a big moment for FUT. It's been a while since a Turkish team has been this competitive on an international stage.
Sure.
Like,
Okay. That was actually not planned. I should put this pen away before I lose that like a clown. My clown
it's a happy moment.
Okay. You know what?
Are you not
Here,
happy?
crowd, have fun with it. Go nuts. That's for you.
Believers?
That's for you.
Hopefully
Go
so.
nuts. What's the worst that could happen, right? Anyway, guys, let's go ahead. No, I think that's how T1 was feeling going into this
seriously,
one.
like,
yes.
like FUT just dominated them. They've got a shark out on stage. FUT has never had more fun. They're already celebrating too. Why shouldn't I?
The vibes are immaculate right now.
I am perplexed as to, like, when you look at the compositions, when you look at how this game played out, baby, you wouldn't necessarily have thought that it would work out the way that it did. But the fact that FUT just completely dismantled T1, I don't think anyone had that on their bingo card.
No, definitely. I think that T1 actually couldn't have played more into FUT's hand. Like, I actually think the entire way they approached this whole
And how so?
Well, just trying to rush into sites against a comp that is meant to like have heavy retakes and heavy floods, you know? Like, they didn't try to like work the map in certain ways. The one round they did came down to what, a 1v3 at a Kaplan, and like, you know, like that was the best chance they had in a round, so.
And one of the other reasons that's so rough to not be playing the mid-round is because you look at this comp. Normally you have Sky that's regenerating. You have Harbor who has a regenerating wall. With KO, you only have 2 flashes that are never coming back. With Brim, you only have 3 smokes that are never coming back. So you need to take your time on the attack to bait out that utility, or you're just going to be running into the strengths of your opponent's composition, and that's exactly what happened to T1.
Yeah, that's rough as well, right? Because you see the composition that T1 busted out and you think this is going to be fine. You know, this is like the bog standard of what we've seen on Pearl, and then to just get shut down the way that they did. And it wasn't even, I mean, yes, of course, compositions were a problem, but also they were snapping. They were hitting those shots. Speaking of hitting shots, that actually takes us right over to our aim lab shoot around. Look at that transition as we go to Mr. Fallen's POV. But let's just continue though, Baby Bay, to talk a bit more about what we've seen from FUT, because it really was a dismantling. And now you have to ask yourself, how does this T1 team get back into it? But more importantly, how does FUT prevent that from happening? Because it really feels like they're riding a high at this point.
I think FUT's just like I think they're actually gonna take it from here, because I think that they're just flowing so well right now. Like their energy, everybody across the board is popping off. You had Kiwi just dashing into people because he's really feeling it now. You know, you had Captain just going brazy on the retakes, and then
Maj had like what, 30 clutches.
The Viper he clutched like 4 times.
it was ridiculous what he managed to pull off. So many of these players just seemed confident, comfortable. And Tom was talking about this right at the end of the cast, but FUT is a team that in the past have struggled with mental issues, with it going down and not really being able to get that energy back in. But when this team starts strong, when they get that momentum, it is so incredibly hard to shut them down. So T1 are really going to have a big task on map 2.
Yeah, they definitely are here as we get ready for this upcoming map. We're going to be moving on to Haven for map number 2. And, you know, I guess looking at this one here, this is a great opportunity now, Mimi, for this team to be able to close this one out. And, oh, we're getting some Gecko. Love to see it.
Yeah, FUT has been playing this, so not a huge surprise in the Prime Gaming Agent Select, but they play this comp really well. The main thing I'm looking at is when they switch to the attacking side, how predictable are they? Because with this Gecko, I felt like they were really often telegraphed with how they were using dizzies on the execute, and better teams were punishing that. But they start on defense, where I think they play this comp really well, especially for the retakes that were so great in map 1, Baby Bay.
Yeah, and I thought that T1 getting attack on a lot of these maps would be an advantage to them, but after watching how they played that attack on Pearl, I'm not confident in that anymore, and I just feel like I hope I get to see them work a little bit more of the maps. Even though this is a completely different map and it's played differently, I still think that they need to find these timings and try to get the utility out a little bit, you know, before they decide to pick a site and hit it. Because I think that the game plan of FUT right now, they just read them perfectly.
It has to be Zeta to bring this team back. The IGL, he has been shown to have adaptability, to be able to go for these fast executes and also slow the game down and work the map. They need to play into that mid-rounding, which has been a strength for T1 in the past, but I think they really failed to harness on Pearl.
Yeah, and without a doubt, there's going to be like you know, the nerves, right? The caution that T1 had probably a bit more while they were playing certainly could maybe lead to them feeling a bit overwhelmed with the moment here. They're going to need to shut down this FUT team early.
Think of what these players have accomplished in the past. You have champions from different games. You have players who have had already storied careers here in Valorant. To go out early, to go to lower bracket in Champions, the biggest tournament, after all the improvements you've had this year, would be a massive disappointment for T1. So the pressure is on right now for them to recover in the second map.
100%. All eyes are going to be on T1, but can FUT close it out in 2? Let's send it back over to Mitch and Tom for the call.
Well, it's been an incredible start to FUT's run here in Los Angeles, but it isn't over yet. Now it's their map choice, and we are certainly not slowing down. The side of T1 had a lot of fast-paced takes, and kicking off this map, it's just the same. Saya denied that early fight, though. The Cloudburst not going to stay up for long. Their safe haven deteriorating. Out of Captain falls, too. Maj putting up a good performance, but not good enough. It's left down to the Gecko of Cracks. And Tom, we've seen Gecko quite a bit. It hasn't been something to write home about for the side of FUT so far.
I don't even know if he'll use any of it. Just needs to land the shots. And that's where Crack seems to do his best work. If you didn't have enough of the FUT clutches in the last map, well, they're right back in a 1v2 to kick things off. I believe from the last map, they had some like 80+% 4v5 conversion rate. It's truly unbelievable what this team is able to do. And right off the bat, that confidence is off the charts. Now, one of the things is, I agree with the desk. I think the initial showing of this composition of Gecko was great. Like when they were playing it in EMEA, it looked strong. Then they tried to bring it to the international stage, and they got bullied, like even losing to attacking Sol, which on this map. So I'm waiting to see if they have managed to adapt, find anything new. But I'll be honest, at the moment, it hasn't really looked like they've needed to throw in anything new versus the side of T1. They have been able to win out a lot of these gunfights just off individual brilliance.
Very much so. The clutches, look, if they're going to continue to go FUT's way, then yeah, you can write this series off. T1 got to start to feel deflated. Got 4 rounds so far in the series. We move on to the second here, and it's, you know, a decent bit of fighting potential. 4 sheriffs for the side of T1. They're already getting up close, looking for some opportunities. Found some, not converted. And shot after shot landing for Kiwi. That Marshall dangerous in a round like this. Nobody has shields. So you just shred straight through them. Interesting that you have even flank attempts coming through. This isn't the kind of round where I'd expect players to try to get behind with weapons like a Bulldog, but it will pay off.
Yeah, no, they don't even take any damage throughout the entirety of this round. Very clean from the side of FUT. Now, the last couple of times T1 played this map, it was versus EDG, and they definitely struggled to pin down the likes of Can. Well, whether or not you rate Kiwi quite as highly, he definitely has the same confidence. I don't think anybody's going to question that amount. This is an important round. Still a few weapons to play with here for FUT, but ultimately this is where T1 should get right back onto the board. And I'm liking this. We're seeing this more from Cracks. A lot of early mollies just instantly being popped. Same happened on the last map as well.
FUT really like to go for those spams, huh? Through every smoke that they can possibly find. And yeah, some decent damage starting it off. Saya player next to no shields. But it's only a little tickle. The third round sees T1 play it slow, waiting for that aggression to come out from FUT, waiting for Maj perhaps to go walkabouts on middle, like we saw towards the end of the previous round. But as we said, this is a squad that, despite many conversations around their fundamentals previously, I think their discipline has improved a lot. I mean,
since the early days, definitely.
Yeah, right?
Go back to the VLRs, yeah, definitely.
It's a much better face to this squad.
Oh, a minute gone. A bit less to play, but this is where the execution's going to come through again. Saya leading the charge, and he will find that opener. Maj unable to do too much, but his teammates at least trying to trade things back. This time, though, a little bit of damage to Carpe, but other than that, they've kept things relatively clean. And the only interesting really thing when we talk about compositions for these two teams, it's not so much about change of agents, it's change of personnel. Watching the switch up of Adacaptain taking over that controller. The same for Carpe, taking over Sentinel. Slight role switches, but nothing different in terms of what agents are actually being run. For now, Kiwi, anything he can find will be nice, but Carpe is going to land that shot and a much cleaner start to this second map for T1, as they will get themselves around with 4 players alive.
Yeah, we're still seeing the same thing. We heard from Baby Bay over on the desk that, this squad of T1, playing into FUT's hands a little bit, just all-out aggression, bursting their way into sites, and the composition previously ran, FUT were able to respond every single time. And then adding in the fact that this is a squad that likes to concede space and take you down with wall bangs on the way through, or even just shots through the smoke. We saw that same thing from T1 here, bursting into A, taking the control. Although on a map like Haven as well, you're certainly going to get your reward for that.
Yeah. They were a little more patient, though. That's the thing. It wasn't like instant in the round. They had time for some of that utility to be burnt out, so slight adaptation. This time, though, it is direct. Very direct indeed. The first 20 seconds of the round may have gone, but already into the site they go. And, well, you mentioned smoke spams. There's one apiece. Yeah,
Maj managed to catch them on the way through. That's the problem. They knew where he was spamming from, and well, a lucky shot on the return gets them the reward. Flash for right side, but no follow-up. They're not looking to take that control, but they have spotted the operator around here. It's good information to play with. Thrash on the way through, and it catches nobody. They've sidestepped it completely. Not going to be retrievable in its current position. Adacaptain falls, and T1, they are in with a serious chance now, locking these players out of control. A quick double kill. It doesn't seem to be enough. Ooh. Even if that shot was connected for Kiwi, it would be a tough clutch. But with 2 opponents still standing, it's time to get out of there.
Yeah, good work from them. The ultimate as well from the side of FUT, not really placed in a position. I think the only players that actually could have caught were his own teammates if it went a little bit deeper. Opportunities to find something with that, but T1 have managed to hold on in their post plants, already looking a little bit cleaner in that regard. And for FUT in this next round, it's going to be interesting, because you've got Kiwi 1 away for a Bladestorm. A kill for him could put him onto the board. And on the other side of things, full rifles, a decent economy already being built up. This is a chance for T1 to actually take the lead in this series.
Certainly the feeling of recovery for that squad if they can make it across this line. Very weak weaponry all across the board. It's Kiwi they have to avoid. And if they can do that in the early round, then that's already half the task out of the way. Stuns, 1 apiece. It's slowed T1 slightly, but it has ultimately denied Kiwi's opening aggression. He wanted to be here with that operator. He wanted to be taking the fight down on short. Instead, look at where FUT are forced to go. Right out of the site. Playing way back. Kiwi's still good for 1. But again, it comes down to the weaknesses that are backing him up on this hold. Really nothing to work with, and if it's not the operator finding the kill, the chances go way down.
Yeah, he's got the Blade Storm for the next round, so was willing to take a risk, and a risk being taken by the entire squad. They've thrown in the lockdown here. Zeta trying to hold on the edge of it, and he's actually going to get 2 with the spam? I thought maybe 1 at best. Okay, sure, he's going to go down, but he's already cost the entirety of the round. Cracks again, going to reduce the finances brought through, and you know what? Mr. Fallen should get out of there with an operator. Considering the investment, it's not too bad, but more importantly, I'm liking the goal of Zeta. A little bit more aggression, a little bit more up in the faces of FUT, something that I think was missing in the previous map. And well, they are going to get themselves the lead for it.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, in a round like that, you think that without the Hunter's Fury, there's nothing that Zeta can do to get value out of the lockdown, but, well, certainly does it. Leaving it down to the literal last second as well to go for that spray and catches both of them. That's got to be so frustrating. Because, look, if it wasn't for those kills, you see the potential there, even in the 1v2 at the end. That could have went their way. They would have had smokes online to try and deny some of the line of sight when they go for the defuse. 3 rounds, and that's the lead for T1.
Moj is actually going to be the one on the op, purely based off that Blade Storm. Multiple players, in fact, the whole team setting up exactly where Kiwi's going to be going. He's got to get out of there very quickly. The counter util's been good, but Xayah player is going to meet those blades. I feel like this is a moment where if you're T1, you go, nah, don't really fancy heading into that site. Still looking to check if that control's been taken by their opponents, but they are now going to start feeling out the map a little bit more.
Yeah, their issue is just how little control they can actually hold on to. Not having, like, your turret even sat on middle. These players could have pushed down. They could be in the window by now, wrapping up behind. That's not even talking about the A site. You know, ultimately, when you start a round like this, a minute in, your only opportunity is to go towards C. But with Kiwi down, that opportunity now is a little bit more promising. Good stun, good delay, but the follow-up, the thing of legends. Sure, Mr. Fallen will go down, and some damage is found as well. But they managed to stall out that C push. And from the shadows, used to fake out that they're taking this to A. The fake is not sold, though. FUT still have 2 players here. One in the form of Adacaptain, the other being Cracks, and that angle is certainly held down by Cracks. Well done for FUT to find a third.
Yeah, I feel like you could always rely on that man when it comes to getting a double kill, and again, I don't know how, just with the spam through the smokes, it was a stun through. I'm also just looking at Adacaptain right now with 0 kills and 11 assists. One of the most ridiculous stat lines we've had so far in this tournament. See how many that continues on to, but just really clean individual fights. And I do think that's one of the aspects of T1 that has been missing a little bit. It's very difficult versus FUT. They're extremely high when it comes to the skill ceiling, but they haven't been trading effectively and just allowing players like that to almost take over. Early stun, and Kiwi already taking that space. He's going to get one for free. No, it's actually a miss.
Well, he's got the drone at least, but not quite the same reward. Gets back in time to be caught by the Rolling Thunder. Pretty much out of this round for a few seconds, and he'll be caught by Ban, who's doubling up on the site. Mr. Fallen catches them blinded up on site before he's dropped, but they can't get ahead in the fights. It's still Moj left in a 1v2. T1 have got the plant in. Now they can hold this down together, even looking to double swing it, and the double not needed. Munchkin quick to the trigger. The lead stays with T1.
It's just a brawl. Such direct hits coming in from T1. Utility was solid off the bat. Like, Kiwi was completely screwed. But again, in those moments, you just see someone from FUT come alive, Mr. Fallen, making this one look competitive for a second. But this time, T1 is there on the trades. But that's the thing. Like, some of these rounds have genuinely been over within the first 25 seconds, just with how pacey T1 have been going in with the hits. It's only if they're denied by initial util that they stop, and by the looks of things this round, they're going into A in the same sort of pace.
Oh my, look how quickly the pushes come through from Adacaptain. Sure, there's a fight, a brawl, in fact, going down on short, but they have full middle control as well at the same time. You know, FUT, they give it up late into the round. Probably good that they did. That lockdown could be served to fake out and rotate back across the map, but more likely just to sit in position and claim the space afterwards. FUT will be conceding it all.
Yeah, at least they didn't manage to get the thrash back, but that early usage again just trying to deny the same sort of push that came through in the last round, and the rest of the team looking to build up in this retake. Now, you have to bear in mind, in terms of utility, there's a couple of flashes. I was going to say there's no paranoia to get them back in. They don't need it. T1 went looking. They wanted to fight. They wanted to scrap, and because of that, they now find themselves in a 5v2 scenario. Flank comes through from Moj as well. Munchkin needs to pull off one of the most ridiculous clutches you ever will have seen, and well, they're already spamming into the smoke. They know where he is. It's all too easy for FUT.
Patience after those fights as well. They took their time on the way back through. It certainly paid off. For T1, it's been a much better start than what we'd seen previously, and they're going to go for a timeout to attempt to recover on what has been a shakier, more recent memory. Losing 2 of the last 3 rounds. That retake in particular, I think, will have them shaking a little bit because they got completely outpaced on the way back through.
Yeah, I think one of the things they're sort of struggling with is if FUT managed to read where that early contact is going to come in, because of the pace of their hits, the second it seems like they get disgruntled or disrupted in what they're doing, the round just falls apart. And this one, I think if I'm Autumn, I would have taken a pause as well, because that was a domino effect. You had that sort of initial fight that just didn't go their way, and then seconds later, you just have player after player trying to take a risk to get them back into the round. Like, that's not really what I'm expecting to see from the likes of T1. And also, again, as Des said, I feel like that's just playing into FUT's hands. Like, you're trying to play aggressive versus a team that's very good at playing aggressive. Like, they are very ready for those sort of fights to come through. Now, at least for T1 as well, that the finances have been broken. So that's going to be the decision. A hero rifle once again for Sire player. We've raved about it already throughout this series. He can definitely take rounds into his own hands, but it's definitely been easier said than done. And I'm still looking at the assist count. Adacaptan, he's got his first kill, but he's up to 13. I wonder how many of those are just from placing a smoke.
Right there. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It can be farmed up pretty easily, but
high value assists. His cast is going to be insane.
Oh yeah, off the charts. Well, round 9's about to kick off, and we'll see those barriers go up as a team fights for the lead. The side of FUT, I mean, look, like we've been saying, Cracks, the Gecko, it's all right. Cracks, though, he himself,
yeah, he's
unreal.
nuts.
Having a great game so far. Shock dart through, double bounce, notification found. They've destroyed the alarm bot, but not the alarmee. It's Moj deleting Carpe. And that puts them in a bit of a rough spot. Their flank protection not there, and, well, their flank wide open. Cracks has walked into it.
There's a reason the Turkish players only play the Vandal. It's normally because of the instant headshot. Sire player, though, can match them in that, at least. Now, they are going to have themselves an afterplan here. The turret destroyed for no reason other than fun. He is dead, but just in case, look how fast this flank is, though. Nobody actually watching in this direction. In fact, Zeta could be in trouble here. Currently using his Tronicus, jumping back and spots half of the team. The stun has caught him as well. There is no chance for him to survive this one. And in fact, Adacaptan, well, he may be getting assists, but he can also frag in his own right as well. A clean push back through into this round for FUT. They're going to regain the lead for themselves once again.
Well, Adacaptan, he's just tripled his kills on that one.
Yeah, not bad.
Like to see it. 5 rounds on the board, lead theirs. And T1, they're having a lot of success getting onto the site. I think that's what we've seen certainly over on C in taking that control. The A side as well, just a few rounds ago, they burst through with relative ease. But the same as what we'd seen over on Pearl. When FUT are playing those retakes, when they're making that decision ahead, yeah, they don't look like they're breaking a sweat.
Once again, early build-up. This round looking maybe like a bit more of a default for the side of T1. We've seen them go very aggressively, direct into sites, and as has been mentioned, either they've been slaughtered on the way in or the retakes from FUT have been fantastic over the last few rounds at least. So they're going to try and wait, spot out some of these early fights, and well, Adacaptan is already going to have to use a little bit of that utility. Again, this is something that Desk mentioned. Just try and bait out some of that util a little bit earlier on. Again, though, with how many kills Cracks has been able to get, he can use that Thrash just to search, make sure that nobody has been able to get back in. And now T1, they start to build into this site once again, but they have got to be wary of the spams.
Yeah, it was a nice shot onto Munchkin already. He's in danger. I think it might have been him going for that orb. One away from Rolling Thunder now. Been used to great success previously to get them into sites, particularly A, where they now have a lurker. Just looking at the map, you can see Ban has snuck past Kiwi. He's now tucked in the corner. Space will be taken. It's Saya player coming up close, but further back was Munchkin. He's caught. Cloudburst, good the dodge on the Paranoia, but he'll still be taken down. Carpe with a good frag. They haven't spotted out a captain. He's doubling up, holding strong on the site. He doesn't need any help. Saw Thresh go in, but well, he already had it on lockdown. Zeta the last man alive. We'll find the first. Zeta captain's kill streak finally coming to a conclusion, but with just a couple of seconds left on that clock, I think we know this round is going into FUT's corner. The question is, will the rifle be carried through? The timing was nearly terrible, but it looks like he's locked it in.
Now, that's the thing. What a round from the side of FUT. Like, you just got the individual players. Like, you had that lurk from Ban, giving them the space onto short, but they were completely unaware of other control that was still held. Then when all the information gets spotted, and a captain on his own just walks into the site. The rest of the team trying to use util to set him up, but honestly, he didn't need it. It just went completely unchecked. It was like T1 in their mind went, okay, we have sold this fake. They're going to be on C. There's no way there's anybody in the corner. And that's mistakes you can't afford to give, because we've already seen it throughout this game so far. The players on FUT, each in their own right, will destroy you if they give them a moment's notice. Back to the pacey rounds. Rolling Thunder again. This is where they had one of their successful rounds. This time, though, Moj is out. And Kiwi, well, again, uncharacteristic, but it's a miss.
Oh. And he catches that one. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, Kiwi over to the rifle. You know he's going to be used to claim some space in the way through. Stun held. Mr. Fallen's caught at least one with that. Aftershock for down below, and that's a free kill. Zeta was caught in the turret. In the drone, I should say. Saya player is good for a double before being shut down. The operator doing a hell of a lot of heavy lifting on the way back into A. And another successful retake for the side of FUT. T1 starting to slip up, losing their lead.
Yeah, and I also think FUT are actually improving the way they're playing this A site quite a bit. In a lot of the earlier rounds, when Rolling Thunder was online, they were being caught by it, and then players were going down. Instead, they fall back. Like Moj just gets out of there immediately and just lets Kiwi find that opening kill. Now you're going into the same retake that you were already winning with an extra player on side. So if FUT are improving things as they go along, T1 need to find something here. They have lost the last 5 of 6 rounds. They were looking in a good spot, sitting at 4-3 up, and now, well, a Blade Storm, Hunter's Fury, some decent ultimates online. The thing is, though, I wonder if, again, it's just going to come down to the retake, especially with that lockdown available for Moj.
Blade Storm online. Saya player could be very dangerous with this. A pre-fire blade around the corner. And he's on his way through. Stun caught. He's up top, safe for a moment, allowed to recover. Will he be spotted after? No, not before he can grab a kill without a captain down. Blades refreshed. And the site seems to be theirs. Even that judge going to be quite scary, as exactly for that reason. It's up close, it's able to spam in the smoke. And if anything goes awry, he has that Blade Storm still to fall back on. This could be a tough fight for Kiwi.
Yeah, I almost feel like at this stage, someone has to make a mistake. And while Carpe's doubled up, kept this further into their favor, Kiwi will be able to get one, and actually Mr. Farland's found another. Somehow, in this 2v5 scenario, it's beginning to look competitive with an isolated player within the smoke. Munchkin has a chance to put this one to bed, as Mr. Farland is now all that remains. The other 2 players just waiting on long, and T1 will claim their 5th at the hands of Munchkin. It's definitely not the prettiest half they could have come out with, but it might just be enough.
Yeah, the numbers on the board, certainly enough for T1 at this point. I don't think they can feel too shaky, but an important note that this was FUT's map pick. So that was the half they wanted to start on for the side of T1, already out of the way. And with the context of how it began, maybe they wanted that little bit more. At the end of the day, though, there's some serious signs of life on that FUT side. They've come in for revenge on the international stage. They want to take a couple dubs home this time. An impressive beginning. 7-5 at the half, and a 3rd map needed for FUT, or for T1 to take this all the way. Let's see what the desk makes of their chances.
Indeed, indeed. And now we're all curious whether or not T1 has it in them to be able to bring this back, force that map 3. But let's jump into this real fast because it did feel like T1, Baby Bay, were starting to recognize some of the faults in the situations that they found themselves in. But the consistency, it's not quite there yet. And that's not what I had expected here at Champions for T1.
Yeah, and like from the first gun round, I was like so surprised. I was like, wait, like they're actually waiting and letting FUT flood in, and they like realized it. I'm like, oh yeah, like they realized it, that they're flooding in, and they can actually just punish them for free. And then later in the half, they just revert back to like cutting these corners and not waiting for that flood. And you have Captain just going in and just killing 3 people, like just sliding in the sights. Like we cannot be cutting these corners, and we have to be aware that FUT is a team that likes to flood. Their retakes are awesome. So, like, I mean, they at least they made the adaptation a little bit, but you know, I was hoping I could see it throughout the entire way.
And FUT, on the other hand, were really good to adapt to that, to take a little bit more time, not always playing for the flood, and sometimes leaning instead into these set retakes, which work really well when you're combining the flash or the stun with that Gecko Dizzy. And they've gotten themselves a really strong half here. 5 rounds on defense is great, at least, and they've got even more than that. And for Krax, he was, again, the player taking charge. He was the star on Pearl, and here playing the Gecko as well, he's still looking so comfortable. I was impressed mostly at how well they were able to give areas of the map and re-clear with Krax's util.
Yeah, that is most definitely a thing that, you know, again, you want to see this kind of player, right, pop off in these moments like this and to be so consistent. Do it not just on a different agent on Pearl, but to do it here with the Gecko as well shows how much work this team has put in. Let's send it back over to the casters.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy and the desk. Yes, half 2 is ready to kick off. Just a few seconds until the barriers go up and T1's defensive side gets put to the test. Now, this is certainly not the most difficult, right? They're only 2 behind, but the pistol round, I think, carries a fair bit of weight in this game.
Yeah, it's definitely not been their strong suit so far, and although they may be Gecko runners themselves, they definitely don't run it on this map, so it's going to be something that they have to be prepared to adapt to. Those flashes, we've definitely seen players stare right into the eye of a Dizzy a couple of times. Counter stuns already. Just trying to help out Carpe, but already being spotted by the wingman. He is going to have to fade off of this one. B site looks to be the point of call for FUT, but with Killjoy util and a contact player in Munchkin, you'd have to hope for T1 they can get something on the entry here.
Well, Kiwi's got some control. A player spotted as well. He'll look for the fight, and that's an execution.
Beautiful paranoia.
Munchkin down immediately. The paranoia even stopped the players further back from peeking out to help. There were 2 ready to swing. Carpe and Ban, and both have been found by Kiwi. They didn't take the fight earlier, and they were forced into it later. This is looking rough. T1 blocked out completely. And even that late flank that they're attempting with Saya player, there might not be anything left to flank. They have enough bodies to cover more or less every single angle at this point. And once they catch out Zeta, it gets tough. Oh, wow. Yeah, well, we won't even talk about that for Saya because it's an ace for Kiwi. Kicking off half 2 with style.
See, this is the thing. Like, I know we go back a couple of years. We talk about the old school, maybe like a Supermassive Blaze, Turkish Valorant. It was just run in, get headshots, get all of the kills. You look at those first 3 kills for Kiwi, every single player was blind. Supportive flash off the paranoia. Pop flash came through as well from Mr. Fallen. The last player, I think, was split second away from getting stunned, so obviously they're moving as well. It might not count as an assist, but it definitely was one. That was just a beautiful round, setting up the superstar of FUT. Exactly what you want to see from the likes of them. And now, well, if the start in both halves has gone as badly as this, can we see some sort of response? Saya, well, there's definitely no fear here, but there is an alarm bot waiting. That's going to be destroyed. That gives Anna Captain a chance to protect. Okay, that was very, that was very optimistic from Zeta that there would be no one there. And they're still trying to find him. Anna Captain just lurking around the back lines has caused them, well, mass amounts of problems.
Good luck to Ban and get more than this. Already spotted out and dealt with. Spidey sense is good for Attic Captain, and 9 rounds found. The lead extending further and further in their favor, and for T1, I do think that this is where they need to put a stop to it right about now, because one more loss here, push down to an eco, and FUT are knocking
they can't lose
on the home stretch. Yeah, very much so.
That's the thing, we're falling into the same position as last map. Like the early rounds looking so good for FUT, and keeping them nice and clean. They're going to come in with a rifle. Kiwi only 2 away from getting that Blade Storm as well after farming up an ace in that prior round. And already they're going to take a lot of initial space into mid. This seems to be pretty much their pressure. Look how aggressive he is! He's just got straight through! Already just decimating the side of T1. This was the round that they desperately needed to win. He's just opened things up with ease.
Made it look like an eco-ton. I mean, they've got rifles on the other side. They were ready, watching for that push through. And it certainly didn't look like it. At this point, I'm looking at the body language, looking at Ban's position on the minimap, and it's a save. They've called for it. Mere seconds into the round. And you're 5v2 behind, weaknesses for FUT. And, well, not for much longer even. Out of captain.
They're going to get them.
He's picking up a rifle. There you go.
I think they're expecting some sort of congestion here, but they've almost just had to give up on this one. And you can't really blame them for it. It was such just a direct, fast-paced take. We spoke about like supportive utility and basically how that was utilized. They sent a stun and a paranoia through into sewers. So that was the ruse. It was like, yeah, we're pushing. You remember last round when we used all our util to kill you off in sewer, and then he just dashes straight into the A side and kills both players, or B side, sorry. That's insanity. I think there might have been a supportive flash, but I don't think it made a difference. That was just complete distraction play from FUT, and T1, well, they fell for the bait.
Yeah, oh, they absolutely did. And you could see immediately they realized seconds into that second kill for Kiwi, oh, we've been played.
Yep.
This is done. This round is over. And they go for the save. Feeling dejected like that, just a couple of rounds into the second half, it's not going to be putting a smile on their face on the side of T1. In fact, a timeout has been called as this squad attempts to get to the bottom of their problems.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be a quick resolution found because they are running out of runway.
And that's the thing as well, the manner in which they're losing the rounds is just, again, like firstly...
It's over. It's over, man.
Just fantastic supportive utility that's coming through, but then just the bait and switches from FUT. They seem to be so tuned in. And it's something we've spoken about many times when it comes to Turkish teams. It's that leadership. So somebody at the helm to actually have these adaptive ideas, these smart setups. You have to give credit to the coaching staff as well for FUT, because they have come into this game ultimately with either people putting this game level or in T1's favor, and they have looked by far the better side into this first matchup. Now, of course, as we said, we expect that this bracket might actually go as Sideshow said and end up in a rematch, which I can't believe I'm saying that. FPX are probably going to win the whole group now, just based off that curse, but this is a rough position for T1 to be in. And just look at what they've got. 2 rifles, pistols, and on the other side of things, they've got everything to play with.
Nice aggression, though. Saya's not only caught... Whoa,
what?
No! I don't know how he went down there. Sure, the trade is in. Just another remarkable fight from Kiwi. The advantage, though, is certainly falling into the court of T1. 2 rifles to work with. One of them is in the hands of Ban, who we see on the C side. Players coming from either angle. They know that Carpe is here now, and they'll shut him down. Only Ban left to find, and Krax does, well, makes it look easy. He'll be left alone. Still has his wingman to work with. Maybe the plant can go down. He can try to move to a post plant already, start the flank.
He'll get his ult off this as well.
Oh, that's huge.
It's tough to use in these sort of scenarios. To isolate a player. If he gets it into the 1v1, you almost have to say that this round is his, and Zeta is going to try and sell a ruse. Maybe that both players are coming in from that direction. Yet to move is going to be Munchkin. The spray's a little bit wild. He's going to go running back into his opponent. Munchkin would just about find the victory in that round. A little bit too close for comfort, and even a world where we might have seen a knife, but T1, they find something. They dig deep and manage to get themselves back into this one. 10-6, still a hefty lead, and well, I think the finances are going to be okay for this one.
Yeah, I think they're pretty comfortable for this and the next if they need it. Krax again, showing his prowess individually. That was 3 kills, and as you said, 20 HP there.
Did he even get stunned? I don't know if he did.
No, I think because he took his knife out and jumped so quickly, he avoids it, but
yeah, he's dead anyway.
Leaps straight into the waiting arms of his opponent. If he commits to having his knife out, doesn't try to switch, just to a wild swing.
Or even if
like
he just, the guy was one bullet off, so he probably kills him off that. But, hey, you can't blame him. Thrash straight through, as said. He has farmed this all up so many times throughout this game. Doesn't connect onto anyone this time. Kiwi's gone dashing into the site. Made space, but Carpe's done well. Instant trade again, though. It all seems to come tumbling down. Ban at the back of site is the last point of call. His teammates with a supportive flash, but maybe he doesn't need that support. However, does he know? There's a player right below him. He's seen the gun barrel. Eventually, he'll make the realization. The penny drops, and it leaves just Cracks alone in this one. And again, T1, they will hold the site, but mostly because of Ban.
Yeah, phenomenal round for Ban, and no better time for him to go stepping up. We were about to see things slip away, but now just 3 rounds behind. Ulti's coming online as well. Some weaknesses for the side of FUT. This could be the start of T1's redemption arc this year, seeing the barrel for so long. Good thing he was able to connect eventually. Captain thought he'd flown under the radar.
This might be one of those rounds where you see the confidence come to bite them a little bit. That was a lot of individual fights handed over to Ban. Everybody expecting to win their battle themselves. Kiwi, well, we've mentioned him going in solo every single time, but it's actually Saya getting caught. The trades coming across the map, individual fight after individual fight, but T1, they've come out on top here and have a lot in their favor. 2 ultimates if they need them, and a man advantage.
Yeah, T1 know that they're happy to play retake on A if needed. Too much of a risk to stick around on site, but they have a lockdown, which can very comfortably get them set up. There you go. The star of the show.
Yeah, we love Wingman in this house.
The little bro, he's got the plant in. He's bought them that little bit of time now as the clock moves into their favor. Rolling Thunder avoiding it at first. Mr. Fallen actually grabs a kill off of utility, and he's still standing strong down below. Captain on for another. Mr. Fallen still hasn't been rooted out. They just couldn't deal with this breach, and every single player shut down on the way to take that duel. Yeah, 11-7.
I would like to see it in the replay. I'm not certain of it, but I think Munchkin's ult actually hits Zeta up top. So he's unable to react to anything else. I think it goes across the site, and either that or he just jumped at exactly the same time, but it looked like it went through initially, and it just gave them that extra bit of time for a more disjointed take. So again, these are things that it just can't happen when you're facing off against FUT in a post-plant situation. And well, look at this from Saya, straight through. Looking to try and take this round with a counter util, hit by a Paranoia and a bullet to the face. They've not got a lot to play with in this round, continuing the push, and they almost lose another life. Carpe tagged desperately low.
Yeah, left on 35, lockdown still in his back pocket. He'll be avoiding further fights. Phenomenal beginning to this round for the side of FUT, and again, we see that discipline in play. Captain and Kiwi holding the extremities for the first 30 seconds or so, but now the squad starts to group up. They'll look for a new target to take down, and it looks like the C site is what they have their sights set on. Ban tucked in that corner. He'd managed to sneak his way here just a few moments ago. Shot. I mean, that very much looks like that should be the only player here. They're not checking Ban at first, and they paid the price. A double kill. The Hunter's Fury fired out a little too far away from the first, and nothing found in the second. This is right back into play for T1.
That looked like it was on, especially the first one, but hey, Ban has made this one competitive. Started to come alive over the last couple of rounds. Moj, Zeta just unable to connect. That's been a couple of opportunities in this round, and Carpe, well, he's low. Wanted to try and take a risk. Now just look at the space that is there for FUT. The other player's so desperately far away. Now that alarm bot likely not going to be online from that sort of distance. Incredibly far away, but I think the position of Moj holds a lot more value. Someone they need to clear. Zeta has done well though, but the trade is immediate, and now it's left all onto Munchkin.
Full belt of utility to work with, at the very least. That smoke fading. There you go.
Look at the ults.
The Rolling Thunder will be committed. They're not risking anything in this 2v1. A stun through gives away his position. Maj knows exactly where to look. And another found for FUT. Same as previous map now. The home stretch is in front of them. 1 round of the next 5 needed. And they'll be shutting T1 out of this opening series. So far, the squad of T1 only finding 11 rounds across it. Not enough to win 1 map.
Yeah, no, a really good sign for FUT. Like, we looked at them coming into this tournament after having close games at Tokyo versus the likes of Attacking Seoul, losing to DRX, who definitely looked shakier. I think that was before they actually subbed out Foxy as well, so a great sign for them thus far in this game. Captain, is he actually just going to stick that all the way through? He did. He held it.
Oh.
He went onto the site and just found an opener. No fear in this man's heart. They've still got a couple of positions that they need to clear. The lockdown's going to make things more awkward, and the position of Munchkin could do serious damage. They're just going to back out of there. So much time on the clock that they don't need to risk it.
Oh, okay, 1 player detained. There was only space for Captain. Couldn't fit 2 players in the safe corner, the safe spot. T1 back into A, 3 players here. I thought FUT were out, like fully out, once Krax didn't go for the plant with the wingman. Once the spike went running back all the way down A long. And indeed, they will be changing direction, but very, very slowly from the shadows. Spots 1 player, but yeah, you're starting to get the idea that they're rotating. If you're on the side of T1, the plant coming
Lil
through.
Bro's got this one. Don't worry, not need for any help here.
Boom. That's how we do it.
They
now
even tried
they're
to
very
paranoia.
quickly on it. They're going to try and defuse this already, tapping it immediately and causing this utility to start being thrown out. How has Krax found that? A nail in the coffin for the squad of T1 as Krax picks up even more. The flank is on its way, and that will do it. 13-7.